First 5 rounds of RPL racing in Tier 1 this season, and Season 10 is in the books. And now it is round 6. Time for Imola, where we get to see what happens here in the first set of Italy races of the two. Welcome aboard, folks. A little late here to the start. My apologies. But I am your commentator, Ryan Searles, and tonight I am joined by RPL Titan Iron for what is now the third straight week in a row, and likely on a more permanent scale. Welcome along, Titan.
Well, it's good to be back. We are here at Imola, a track that I've grown quite to liking. We've seen quite a lot of great moments in races past. Controversy in its first ever outing. But then we had even more wildness in last season's race. I'm wondering what the drivers will be up to this time to make the racing here for this season to make it more quite memorable.
Absolutely agree. Let's go over some headlines quickly as we are late to stuff in the session. You see a lot of drivers here on either loan tonight or who are not usually in Tier 1 or simply reserving due to the fact that iRacing 24-hour is a part of some of the reasons why some of our members are missing. You got AMS Egg and AlphaTauri. Welcome back to Tier 1. Egg, it's good to see you. You actually got a podium here in the first ever Imola race of RPL Tier 1. So, and that was in that exact same car. You're in the AlphaTauri tonight. J&T in Haas, Tier 2 driver full-time, is returning to Tier 1 for the first time in a couple of seasons this time as a reserve tonight. George Alp Williams is the Ferrari driver tonight. He was racing in this race last season. Got a really good finish. And in fact, the reserve for tonight for Ferrari. We've got Formula Cringe making his third Tier 1 start. Hunted reserving. We've got Shanghai now full-time for Williams. Owen on loan to Alfa Romeo. Wavy is in Aston Martin. Tadpole back in the Alpine. He's going to have to serve a qualifying ban. Same said for George Alp Williams. And I think that's it. We've got all 20 drivers in here. And with that said, just a couple more things. Zetzi, now the co-TP for the Mercedes Academy. The Chiller at his home race. And Jacob for Alpine Academy, demoted to reserve now on mutual terms.
Yes, that is correct. So Jacob was inactive in a couple of the last few races. One of the races parting got involved in quite a bit of penalties. He mutually agreed to be demoted to reserve. But that's also not just other headlines. Another headline: one of the prominent drivers of Tier 2, Owen, who is in the Alfa Romeo, has now been deemed. I could be incorrect, but from what I saw in the contracts, I guess he was deemed too fast to be in the top car of Tier 2, and was moved down to I believe it was Williams. He got moved to.
Correct. And the way I understand it is commentary duties for him because of this likely not going to happen for Tier 1 anymore. With that said, I think and you're correct completely on everything there, because I think the goal for them at the Mercedes Academy will eventually be moving him into Tier 1 after the Tier 2 season is over, probably, because he's basically got the championship locked up with that 80-some point lead. And assuming that he does win the title or he ends up going to Tier 1 eventually, it would be you back on commentary just about full-time. And it seems like it's been that way for the most part this season, barring 2 rounds. We have more drivers sitting in time, so we'll get to the track in just a moment. But yeah, tons of headlines for today. I want to talk about our past season's Titan, because you mentioned that briefly. And speaking of Owen, well, he does have some good luck in the past in Italy, but not necessarily in Tier 1 in Imola. So we've got Season 5, where we saw Matt GW take his last ever and most recent RPL race win. That happened in the midst of the controversy of the Red Bulls crashing on purpose, Crashgate. We have as well the podium in that race taken up 2 AlphaTauris, Egg and Jack. That's only one of 2 times both AlphaTauris have been on the podium. Season 6 saw Maxwell win the race. He was also on pole for that same season and on pole for Season 7. And then a couple other guys who've been on podiums since Season 6 onwards in the running of this race. Reese, Jack, Corey Marshall, the Fake TB, the Chiller, Maxwell, Jacob, Scyther, and most notably of our drivers and teams to win this race, Titan, there's been 5 different winners and 4 constructors in the 5 races we've ran here in Tier 1.
I wonder if we'll possibly have a 6th different winner. I mean, we have Cookie, who's currently on fire, basically, as of late. Well, pretty much since the start of the season, pretty much. The guy has finished no worse, I think, well, before penalty reports, he finished no worse than 2nd. So I'm thinking he is definitely going to be a very strong contender to be the 6th different driver to wind up winning for Imola. Now, for some of those new viewers that are curious, like when we are talking about Red Bull and crashing, here's a bit of some extra details in regards to it. It was the first season that Imola debuted on the RPL calendar, which was Season 5. The team principal of Red Bull at that time, I believe it was Matt GW or somebody, but he was the TP.
Was it Max? He was from McLaren.
Oh, okay. So
maybe Maxwell, because Maxwell was the one in it.
Yeah. So it was Luke and Maxwell. They were racing together in Red Bull, and apparently the word was that Luke was encouraging Maxwell to crash on purpose in order to draw out a safety car and to help his teammate out in a beneficiary sense. His team principal told Maxwell to not do it, or else he will be immediately kicked out of Red Bull. Maxwell decided to crash out, which meant he was then terminated from the race. Luke wound up winning. And after a very extensive investigation by the stewards and the admins that got involved in it too, it was deemed that they manipulated the race, and therefore both Red Bull cars were both disqualified from the race. Hence that's why Matt GW wound up getting the win, and Egg wound up getting himself onto the podium. So that was the story of Season 5.
Last ever win that he's had. I know he still talks to some of the guys who are admins in this league, and from the very start, such as Hunted and all those guys who aren't admins as well. So it would be nice to see him back, but he will need the F1 game for that to be said. We'll figure out what happens in the future with him. We're gonna see who's on a lap right now. I'm gonna go on board with Be Good because there's not really anyone coming across the line to start a lap as of what I could see. With that said, Be Good comes to this last sector, the 2 final braking zones, I guess. It's not the 2 final corners, it's the 2 final braking zones. There's 3 final corners. See these 2 left hands, then this right hand right here. And Be Good just invalidated in that penultimate corner. Would have been a 14.3 and second fastest.
Yeah, it would be second fastest, but fortunately with him invalidating out of that penultimate corner, not only does it cancel the lap that he was on, it also cancels the current lap he's on right now.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. We got Owen on a lap. How about we go on board with a hot lap around the circuit, because let's get to it. Turn 1 is right there, that right-hand corner, and then now you go all the way down to turn number 2. It feels like Sachi, how there's the second corner being the first braking zone. This chicane in turn 2, 3, 4 can be very tricky and narrow. Hard to get some overtakes done. You want to get it done during the DRS zone. Turn number 5 and 6 here. Another chicane to go for you. This gets a little tricky, and now to the sector 1 ending. We've got 0.6 of an improvement from Owen right now we're riding on board with. Turn 7, the hairpin gets a little tricky. Turn 8, a small kink here. And turn number 9, this left-hander for you, which could nab you easily on track limits. Owen keeping it within the limits, but not pushing to the limit too much in that area because he's gone a little wide. Got 10, 11, 12, 13, the chicane here again. How about another chicane if we've not had enough already? Turn 14 and 15. Easy place to jump over the curbs in the race last season here when it was raining the last couple laps. Reese and Jack Miles almost had a collision. They were teammates at the time in that race for Red Bull. 17 right here. We're going toward the braking zone now. This left-hand corner, easy to run a little too deep. These two corners, easy to go wide on track limits. Come into the line, turn 19. Can Owen get to the top 5? Answer is no, but just off of it, this should set him safe for Q2, Titan.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt in my mind. And speaking about with some of the corners, as you were mentioning, the very tight chicane, right at the start of Sector 3. That is a really known area for car like hop over, which you may see like collisions and even invalidation of lap times. Another area that could also throw people off if not careful, is actually where Formula Cringe is going through. The bowl is what I would call it, as it basically looks like a bowl, pretty much. That it's basically right at the end of it. That little tiny kink is very tricky if you're not careful. That is another area that, I mean, and plus that little section itself is very, very treacherous if you're not careful, especially when running side by side. Another area that's a bit tricky is the chicane where Scyther is going through right at the end of Sector 1. Last season, during qualifying, we've seen the Chiller invalidate at least 5 qualifying laps during the entire qualifying session in that section.
Didn't matter because he won, though, last season, too.
Yep.
Well, two big names on laps right now. It's Cookie and Scyther. Cookie coming through, blitzing fast now to the final 3 corners. Final 2 braking zones now. And also, with that being said, Cookie, limited practice for him because the iRacing 24 hours this weekend. Reese Dainty back in Red Bull. First race for them since last season. He's going to be second fastest. Cookie's going to be third just behind them. Safe enough to get through, but we may have a session that Cookie is not leading. How about Scyther, Korsman's teammate, who's at the top of the board? Scyther comes across the line. It will be third fastest, splitting the Red Bulls here. So now we've got a race on our hands between Red Bull and McLaren. Excuse me, I was about to say Mercedes. Red Bull and McLaren for this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Top 4: McLaren, Red Bull, McLaren, Red Bull. This is looking quite fun. I mean, literally, Korsman and Scyther together with them in the McLarens. This is basically like, I mean, I'm kind of old when I say it, but it's basically like how McLaren was back in the day when they were very dominant in the late '90s, when they were quite dominant in the late '90s with Mika Hakkinen, and then you have right around 2007, 2008 when you had Lewis around.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not directly with how fast their car is, but a strong lineup like those ones, I can agree on that aspect. We've now got Cam on a lap. I'll give it to you in just a moment, Titan. We've got the chicane once again right here. Reese Dainty believing he is safe. Cam said he's not getting out of Q1. Another one of those drivers this weekend, a part of the iRacing 24-hour. We've got tons of them in here. Tadpole, Scyther, a lot of drivers who are doing that this weekend on basically what you can call double duty. Now, Cam coming through the left-hander there, which can be tricky. And now this little bull, Titan, I'll give it to you here.
As he navigates his way through the bowl, not too bad on the exit, firing his way up to the gears, gets to right around 7th gear, into the heavy braking zone of this tight chicane. Does not get interfered by the curves. No, never mind. Gets a little evil at the exit and invalidates the lap. It's not just the chicane with those curves that can get you caught out. It's the exit that can really throw you off. That can throw you off as well. And Cam had that happen when his car got evil and all screwed up because of that.
Speaking of things like that, Be Good was just on a lap and he made a mistake there at the exit of turn 4, and now he's going to have to back off and go for another one, I believe, which is why he's not using any battery now. So trouble for Be Good. Already hitting him. We're now on board with J&T because of Be Good's mistake. J&T is 5/10 up on the board. He's been a really big, impressive name. I think we have spoke about quite a bit in Tier 2. Driver for Alfa Romeo. I mean, he's not got a podium finish like Gecko did or good qualifyings, but J&T is finished in the points now twice in a row, yesterday and in Singapore, and in his return in Qatar last season too. He had a good showing, but in between Qatar and Singapore, Qatar from last season, Singapore from a week ago, JNT was not putting in the same results that he was the finishes. He had a lot of pace to show for, but no results. And now he gets a chance tonight to go against Redfire Tiger in the Tier 1 race to see what he can do as he now navigates the final couple corners.
Yeah, JNT just coming down the main street now to put his time in. And he's up to the top 10 with a 15.4. Not bad for him. And I think maybe with some of these strong, if he, I mean, as you say, he does have the pace in regards to quality. I mean, the one reason maybe he isn't getting the results he wanted is because there's chances he's been involved in incidents that he could not avoid, or some DNFs, stuff like that. I mean, if he manages to keep it, get his head full on into the game and basically pull off more consistent results, I mean, he may be he's in a Ferrari Academy in either Alpha or Haas, but I mean, it's possible. Maybe another team, another academy could be thinking, this guy could be a driver for my team maybe next season, Tier 2.
Yeah, and why not take a chance on somebody outside of the academy for some of these teams around the transfer window or later than the transfer window? Who knows? He's not going for a championship in Tier 2, but he's going full-time there, for Alfa Romeo right now. So let's see what happens here. Less than 2 minutes to go. If you're not out on track right now and you need to improve, well, you need to be out there. AMS Egg is the only one not out on an out lap, but he is finally coming out of the pits. First driver to start a lap will be Cam in the Alfa Romeo, currently a part of that bottom 5, bottom 3 on pace because George and Tadpole both have qualifying bans. Now is the time to get in the predictions. One last hot lap. We'll do it with Cam. Here we go. Setting himself up beautifully for the last corner and now his lap, which is exactly what you want to do. Pedal to the metal we go. 7th gear and going to shift up to 8th now. Top 9 retired. They believe they're safe. So part of this bottom 5 includes Shanghai, Be Good, Cam. Be Good being a bit of a surprise for Mercedes considering the fact that he is in that top car. Again, similar to other drivers, iRacing in 24 hours and lack of practice from others too is going to be a factor in what causes some of these guys not to get through. Cam, by the way, going a little bit wide there at turn number 5 and 6. At the hairpin, though, we see at the end of the sector split, he was at a 24-2. Not the best of first sectors, but he's got a chance here to make something of it in the last couple bits. Now the left-hander, and now we go to the ending bits of sector 2. 50-meter board, a little bit later than that. You're going to brake, let off. And now through here, it's exactly where he's going to have to find the time. He may have to improve over Zakaria and Redfire both because you also have Be Good in that bottom 5. Purple to the sector, and right there, Titan, a tricky place you can invalidate. Now you got yourself set up for the final couple of corners. Got to go blitzing out to get to the checkered flag and make it in that top 15.
Absolutely, and as Cam comes down into the final couple of corners now, one of the only two yet to get a lap set in. He is going to get a lap done and dusted, and it is 10th fastest for Cam, and he is the first one across the line. Next up, Redfire Tiger was at the cusp, now is clear. He is in the 12th spot. Sicario next up, 16th place, just squeaks in, but he's going to be at risk. Shanghai has invalidated, so he is done. Next
track limits catching someone out. No surprise there, Titan. We spoke about track limits. Very beneficial not to go over those white lines.
Yeah, exactly. And Shanghai did have that happen, and unfortunately, he is out. Zakaria, I mean, if he wants to get himself into Q2, he's got to hope and pray to Be Good invalidates or Cringe doesn't improve. But looks like Be Good is not going to be denied. Here he comes across the line. And it is
fantastic.
Ooh,
fantastic.
1 millisecond behind the leader.
2,000 at the top of the board. Formula Cringe is improving and could knock AMS Egg out, and he does just that. Now, AMS Egg, who invalidated, can't rely on anything here. He's out of qualifying for AlphaTauri in his Tier 1 return. So is Zakaria with a double Williams knockout. Whoa. Well, that end of qualifying got a little exciting, wouldn't you say?
Look at the top 3.
Wow. Reese Dainty, Red Bull return, P3. He's just a 10th off of Be Good and Korsman, the 2 Dutchmen who lead the way.
Wow. I mean, literally between both of them, Korsman and Be Good, 1 millisecond between the two of them, and then Reese 95 thousandths of a second off. That I think that's probably the closest Q1 I've ever seen in my near 3 years of commentary.
I've seen a Q1 that was dead even, but I could be wrong, at least for RPL being the case of that. Bottom 5 includes AMS Egg, Zakaria, Shanghai, 3 slowest, and then you had George and Tadpole, who were eliminated based on qualifying bans needing to be served. So now we'll have 5 drivers go out and raw pace this time, Titan. Unless someone crashes out, like Scyther did in Baku qualifying. So, could happen. Luke as well was one of them too. Luke's another one, by the way, for you folks who do not know. He's been demoted to reserve on mutual terms. He's not going to go for a full season, it looks like. Not as much motivation. He's our league owner, and he is a part of the iRacing 24 Hours. And originally, here's the fun story, Titan. It was worked out that Owen was going to be that Luke was going to be the one instead of Owen, a part of that Alfa Romeo loan from Mercedes Academy, except they have now Owen McMorrin a part of that Alpha loan tonight.
Yeah, and what's more, and the more wild part is that he's made it to Q2 in that Alfa Romeo, which is very good for him. I'm actually wondering who is going to wind up getting themselves into Q3. I mean, if Owen somehow defies all odds and gets that Alfa Romeo into Q3, I will be very impressed.
Yeah, Cam said he was going to be out, and he is in. So he's got his teammate there with him tonight. Not same academy, but used to be a part of Ferrari Academy last season when he was full-time for Tier 2 in Haas. Owen was. Either way, Titan, you can give us some predictions in a moment. What I want to go over now, just for a split second, is some corners on this circuit that are tricky on traction and just difference in straight line speed. So we've got one DRS zone here, which is on the main straight tonight, and you go turn 2 through 4. Tricky to get on the power once again, especially in a side-by-side battle. Turn 5 through 6 can catch people out in terms of just nailing it. It's so hard to get right. That hairpin can be tricky on traction, but the one I'm looking more forward to on traction is the bull section. I think that is probably the trickiest place for a driver on traction. And then the final 2 corners, you know, you have time to find. You want to push in those corners, but easy to invalidate or easy to just go wide or make a mistake. It can happen here tonight, Titan. Any bottom 5 predictions for this session, Titan, as we go on board with the Chiller on a lap while you give those predictions?
So, like, my predictions on who I'm thinking is probably going to be gone from Q2? Something like that?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Making it tricky.
if I had to take my guess as to who I think is going to be knocked out from Q2, I'll get my obvious 2 out of the way. Formula Cringe and Wavy. Those 2 are going to be knocked out for sure. As for who else is going to be out, I'm gonna say Fire, J&T, and I'm gonna go slight controversial when I say it. I'm thinking Cam is gonna be the 5th one. I think I'm putting my faith in Owen. I think Owen could get himself into Q3.
Well, Gecko's showing a lot of pace in Tier 2 in an Alfa Romeo. Cam has shown a lot of pace on an Alfa Romeo. Owen has defied all odds in Tier 2 and just absolutely been storming through everything, it seems like. So, yeah, you may have a point there. The Chiller, our first one to set the benchmark for Aston Martin. He won this race last season, and he's going to have the top time for just a little bit. Something to be excited about before J&T takes it over with a McLaren slipstreaming him, in fact. Right here, look at this. J&T's going to have to get out of the way, and he does just so, but that McLaren of Scyther picked up a nice little toe. We'll go on board with him as Be Good goes fastest. No mistakes that time. Scyther coming through turn 4 now, riding on those curbs, trying to find time. Now you got the 50-meter braking board right there. Brakes a little bit. Now to the right-hand curb, the left-hand curb. It's all curbs you're riding on here. He goes a 23.8. That is 2/10 better than what the Chiller did in the first sector. So Scyther looks like he's got a lot of time in his car and in his hands. Here he comes now through the left-hand parabolica corner. Now, the bull section. Triple right in a way. And now, the ending bit of the sector. What's this going to look like for Scyther, the American driver, part of McLaren, trying to get what would be tonight his 43rd podium in Tier 1. It would only be 24 behind the all-time podium sitter of Luke. Cookie ahead of Be Good and then Jack. Then the final 2 corners for Scyther, riding those curbs once again, using all the track he can to find some time, coming to the line. Is he going to go fastest? The answer is no. But, again like last time in Q1 Titan, close top 3.
Very true indeed. No surprise, but Cookie being at the top about 500ths of a second ahead of Be Good. 346 for him versus Be Good's 396. Some more cars are just getting themselves lined up for another run. Looks like Hunted has it validated, so he's gonna have to go again. Owen currently on a lap. Reese on an out lap. Redfire invalidated, so he's gonna have to go again. Korsman just started his. Let's see what Owen's got, and oh shoot, he's invalidated. Looks like he invalidated in that chicane.
You should talk about him. He's your academy driver here as he goes through the ending bit of Sector 1. Absolutely on the edge.
Whoa!
That a spinner? I think it's Hunted.
Owen almost lost it at the final corner.
Well, he's in the pit lane now. So go to Courseman Titan, please.
Yep.
Little mistake.
I'm with Courseman now.
There we go. A little mistake there at turn, is that 8, I think? No, it's 9. He had a little mistake at turn 9, but he kept it valid, so now he's in the final sector. 50.0.
He's doing pretty good as he comes out of the chicane, and looks like he's just backed off out of the chicane.
Mistake must have costed him then. Surely. Can't see any other way it didn't. You know, you spoke about surprises earlier. I mean, last season it was PSR Crispy qualifying in the top 5 for Alpine. Could we see the same thing tonight? Maybe.
Well, never rule out the possibility, because I mean, anything is possible in a Formula 1 qualifying session. You may think like, oh, well, you have this team that might not be any good or whatever, yada yada. I mean, I mentioned it about I think it was Baku a couple of weeks ago with one of the Haas cars or one of the Williams cars. I was like, I don't even know if they'll get it in Q3, and then all of a sudden, Beatnik and Zakaria, I guess they heard my words, they took offense to it, and they were like, I'll show you, and they put themselves into Q3.
Well, I think the thing is as well is that was a mixed up session. We've got a dry session here tonight in qualifying for Q2 and Q3. Pole time last season was a 14-1. I think the guys in Q1 just ran a 14-0 if I'm correct on that. We've got one of our bottom 5 drivers on a lap now. It is Formula Cringe making his 3rd start here in RPL. Here he comes through the chicane, bouncing over the curbs. Little edgy right there. You saw that snap on the rear just slightly. Obviously, the AlphaTauri feels like you are not at your full potential. I think Kipu kind of alliterated to that yesterday. 24-2 in the first sector, so it's not bad, but remember, he's going to have to beat Redfire and Wavy if he wants to have at least a chance here of Q3. You've got Hunted behind, who has no lap. You've got Owen behind that even further, and then Korsman in the better car than all of them, who does not have a lap either. Now, we go to double digits in terms of our corners. Cringe just on the edge there of invalidating the lap time. Lucky not to do so, 50.2. And then right here, using all those yellow curbs in his late braking maneuver to try to find some time now in this final sector to at least have a chance here for Q3. You know, with this AlphaTauri car, you're not always going to have a chance for Q3, but why not at least give yourself a random chance when you have nothing to lose here tonight? Final 2 corners, he comes through now. DRS going to be wide open to the start-finish line. This will be in the 15s. It will be a 15.4 though, and that actually did not look like a bad lap at all.
Yes, not bad at all. He's currently 10th. He's currently 10th with that 15.495. Not bad. There is some cars that are still going on. They're back out for a new outlap. Korsman, Owen, and Hunted. To reiterate on what you were mentioning a little bit ago, the pole time after Q3 was done by Scyther in Ferrari. It was a 14.161, which was the exact time that the second place drive. It was Be Good in Q1 got that time exactly, and Korsman was 1 millisecond ahead with a 14.160. Right now, Q2, we're about 0.12 seconds behind on that one, but anything can possibly happen.
Keep in mind as well, last season it was 1.2 seconds off the leader that you needed to be to get through, and that was ads for AlphaTauri. It was a double AlphaTauri Q3 for them last season. We've got Owen, the first driver, Korsman, the first driver ahead of Owen. I didn't realize Korsman overtook Owen on their outlaps. It'll be Korsman starting the lap, the first one to come through. 2:05 toward turn 1. Well, here's a little fun fact I've heard from the drivers just a moment ago. Cookie's beating those guys by about 5 miles per hour on the straight, so he's got a lot more of a straight line setup that he seems to be hiding just for now. Top 2, made up of both Red Bulls. Here comes Korsman, 23.8 through the first sector, now the hairpin. A lot of different lines you can take through that section, and that's exactly where Scyther, in the last lap of this race last season, started getting overtaken and then falling down the order to finish outside the points. The only time he finished outside the points in the first half of the season last season. Korsman coming through the Bulls section, and now you've got a car up in front of him of a Mercedes going to get out of the way, and the sector split will be a 49-1. So this is looking quite well for Korsman. But remember, you got to complete the full lap. You got to stay valid. You got to maximize everything you can, and he seems to be doing just that. Battery below 30%, and now just 3 more corners to negotiate his way through, and he will have a lap time on our board.
As works his way out the last couple of corners, comes across the line, 14.287 to beat, and we are in the 13s.
We are faster than last season's pole time, and how about Owen getting the same time as Jack Miles? That should safely set him through.
Yeah, very good time by him. 14.809, very spectacular lap by Owen. It was very, very strong indeed. Just a hair above 3 minutes left. So right now, currently the bomb 5 for Q2. It is the Chiller, Cringe, Wavy, Redfire, and Hunted. Those are currently the bomb 5. And here's a slight little wow fact. Korsman's time right now, a 13.53. He is currently 3.5 tenths faster than the top time for Q2 last season, which, crazily enough, was done by Reese. Reese had the fastest in Q2 last season. That one was a 14.208.
The driver fastest in Q1 and Q2 last season did not take pole. Keep that in mind. And it was the same driver as well, just like the top of the session last time with Korsman. TB had a slide off the final corner. May have backed off slightly, but didn't matter. Look at that. 5 tenths up on the board. He's going to be 6th fastest. That should set him safely through. But keep in mind with TB's time, though, with what he was doing in the first sector, only found 6 thousandths in that first sector compared to his first one. Wavy's invalidating, Huntington's invalidating. Redfire's going out now, and now we have a whole gaggle of cars coming out of the pit lane wanting to improve on their laps and make sure they're safely through. J&T on the cusp. DeChiller the first one out.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I mean, as you're looking at the rear end of that top 10, you have Cam and J&T, both of them close to a 15-2. So, I mean, literally 9th to 15th. I hate to say it, but you guys are not looking safe in the slightest. Now, there is a slight gap. You're looking at nearly 4 tenths separation between 8th and 9th, which is Owen and Cam. I mean, we're looking at nearly 4 tenths of a second of a gap. I mean, could they improve and maybe overtake? I mean, Jack is back out on the track as well. He's thinking maybe, I'm not sure, maybe my lap might not be safe, and he's come back out to maybe try to give it another go.
Take a chance, why not? We got Hunted coming through now, the ending bit of Sector 2, jumping all over those curbs. A little bit of a tank slapper there coming out of that corner, but nothing too severe. Hunted does not have a representative lap time here on our hands to go off of, so now this might be his one and done. Sliding off that corner, gonna need a miracle in these final 3 corners to make Q3. It's Hunted for Alpine, trying to get them back into Q3 at this circuit. Last season, can't say that they were through, safely at least. Only Crispy, and even then, that was only by 3/10. Hunted trying to come across the line to get through to Q3. He's going to be through to Q3, and that's exactly why Jack Miles went back out, because he's now down to 8th, and Owen not safe either in 9th, and Cam invalidated, and he is off the circuit. So he's now going to have to get back to the line in the thick of time to get a lap in, but he's not going to do it, so the driver on the cusp could be eliminated here if anyone behind improves.
Well,
Cringe,
Wavy
2/10 up.
Wavy invalidated, so he is out. The next one behind him is
one.
Red Fire. See what he's getting, guys. He comes down in Sector 2, about 6/10 up, so he's not showing much improvement. I think maybe he might do some more in Sector 3, but we do know one Cam is at risk of being eliminated. Wavy is definitely out of this. Let's see what Red Fire's got as he comes out in the last couple of corners. In order to get himself into Q3, he has to beat a 15.186. Here he comes across the line, and it's only 14 fastest, so Red Fire is out. Next up, his teammate, T coming around, 15.198. He just has to improve by just a little bit, and he does, but can he hold on? Foaming the Cringe comes across.
Whoa!
He gets there, but can the Chiller pull off the upset? Can he get through? Let's see what he's got as he comes around the final corner. Ooh, into the gravel, and that is it.
Your winner from last season is eliminated in qualifying along with his teammate Wavy, Red Fire, Cam, and J&T, who even improved. Formula Cringe, welcome to Q3 for the first time. And it's an AlphaTauri too, who made it to Q3 last season as well.
And I said it, that Owen has the capability to get himself into Q3, and he did so with a 9th place. And what's more silly is that had the Chiller not gone off into the gravel and gotten himself into the top 10, I would have had a perfect prediction on my Q2 eliminations.
Not totally sure on that. And I'll tell you why. Because the Chiller in that second sector was down by 500ths. If he found time in Sector 3, it would have needed to be a 10th and a half. So, and he maybe had the capability to do it. I could be wrong, but I'm going to stop you there for a second because you're not 100% sure. We got Korsman, who leads Q2 with a 13.8. Reese and Cookie, be good in Scyther. Both Mercedes, both McLarens, both Red Bulls in. Then 4 different teams farther behind that, also into Q3. Our bottom 5 in the relegation zone consists of 2 Haas's, 2 Aston Martins, and an Alfa Romeo. You got J&T and Cam, 2 Americans. You got the Chiller, who's the Italian driver in tonight, and 2 British drivers in Red Fire and Wavy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me, Red Fire is actually
French.
I just checked
I just checked the driver chat on the Discord. The Chiller was happy. He was on new tires for that final set. And he said that the new tires were worse than his used set, and he was not happy.
I can't blame him. I can't. A quick check at the drivers and constructor standings before our qualifying session. I just want to remind everybody, Cookie leads the drivers' championship by 28 points. Red Bull lead the constructors' championship by 15 points over McLaren. So this is exactly why with both McLarens in the session, that helps them. And they have a fast driver in Q3 as well with Reese Dainty, a proven champion for this team. He has got a total of 8 wins, 9 poles, and 28 podiums, along with a Tier 1 title for that team in Red Bull. That is exactly why they hired him back and gave the Chiller the boot. And I have to give Cryptic a lot of credit. I'm not sure if he's watching, but Cryptic, you're not the best of friends with Reese. You may not like him, but you're putting the team first by getting him in for Red Bull full-time now. He did not race last week due to contract resolvements, but he is here tonight to try to take pole position and avoid the lap 1 troubles that he had last season that affected his championship race at that current moment in this race last season. So, yeah, we'd speak about last season. Now it's this season. Can someone make anything new of it with a pole position? And Red Bull are trying to go tonight for what would be a record-setting 80th pole, and Cookie a record-tying 6th pole in a row, and the last driver to do 6 poles in a row, and the only other one, Iran Maxwell.
Dang. That's pretty dang good for Cookie to get himself on the pole and join that illustrious club. And you know what? If I had to say my top 3 predictions, I am going to say it is this. And I'm going to go dead set on what my top 3 is going to be.
Love it.
3rd place, I'm going to say it is going to be, shockingly, I'm going to say Be Good is going to surprise us and put himself into 3rd place.
Okay.
2nd place is going to be, and I mean, literally, my choices for 3rd and 2nd, these are going to be in controversial takes. I'm saying 2nd is Korsman, and Cookie is going to take pole position. Now, I'm not discrediting Reese and Scyther. I think those 2 are also going to be a big threat for pole position as well. But, I mean, literally, between the Red Bulls, the McLarens, and Be Good, the top 5 is going to be a war zone for pole position.
I'll leave some of my top 3 opinions out of it, but I'll give you the pole time, I think. I'm going to go with a 13.5. I'm going balls deep. I'm saying they're improving by 0.6 from last season's pole time. And now the fake TB comes through the first couple corners. Absolutely on the edge of those curbs, almost going over track limits, in fact. And now here he comes through turn number 5 and 6. After the 50-meter braking point, he's going to let off and then brake. He does a little bit of a difference compared to some of these drivers with what they've done thus far. 24-0 in the first sector, not too shabby so far, but he's got to negotiate the next 12 corners to get to pole position. Here goes the Parabolica corner for TB, where he is absolutely right on those curbs and really pushing it to find the time and find his limit. Right on that edge curb on the left side. Gets him safely enough to the second sector split with a 49.7. Now hopping over the yellow curbs, trying to find any bit of pace he can find with an AlphaTauri in front. Gonna have to get out of the way. The AlphaTauri does that. And now, to the right side a little earlier than you expect. Heavy braking for the final 2 corners. Now to the right side, to the left side. Not fully on the inside curb, but we'll see how much that costs him, if any, as he comes to the line to set the benchmark. It's a 14.7. Here come the Red Bulls, though, who've been strong. Cookie, 13.8, pole position. Now Reese is going to take a lap now to think about what he can do. Owen, invalidated. And AlphaTauri coming across the line. That's cringe. He invalidated. Now the McLarens come next. It's Scyther and Korsman. Korsman the first one for McLaren. What can he do? Can Korsman find a way to do what he did in Q1 and Q2 and replicate that? The answer so far is no, but it's going to be front row. Scyther also on a lap and coming out across the line to go faster than the teammate. How about Hunted, who's been impressive so far this season in Tier 1? More impressive than Tier 2. Did not get a representative lap in. We're going to have to wait a little bit longer for that. And Owen has crashed.
Ooh. Yeah, just saw that. He's off in the gravel in turn number 6. And he just, I'm thinking I'm thinking him knocking that 100-meter board is probably complete accidental when he was getting back onto the track. If someone winds up reporting him, maybe he'll have to explain on what happened there. But I think maybe Owen was just trying to get himself back onto the track, and it was just pure accidental. I'm thinking that's what it probably was. It was accidental. Anyways, what you were saying, what, 13.5 you were going for pole time?
Yeah, I think that's quite fair. I think it's a little ballsy, though, because Korsman was kind of all out. So I see a 13.4 happening. Or 13.5, excuse me. 13.5.
I'm going to play a little bit safer because Cookie's time, which he has, is a 13.8 right now. I'm thinking he is going to be just slightly quicker. I'm thinking probably a 13.7. I'm thinking right in between the 13.7 flat to 13.75. That's what I'm thinking is what he's going to have.
Okay. Chat, we have only had Zatsy give us some input tonight. How about you all give us some more input and tell us who you think will get in the top 3 and what the poll time will be. Be Good, who we're on board with right now, is likely going to be under investigation because Reese Dainty has just mentioned, thank you for the blocking. That is why Reese Dainty is going to be on a one-and-done lap from the looks of things when he goes back out on track. Be Good, purple to the second sector. You said that's going to be a surprise in the top 3. Now it's time to find out. For the final 4 corners he comes to, he's looking good so far. It will be the 8th different driver to clock in a time. And here he comes to the final 2 corners, final 2 braking zones. He's done. Now the final corner, DRS applied, coming to the line, knocks the braking board off, but ends up 3rd fastest. Right in between Scyther and Korsman. And the gap from Scyther to Jack, a little under a 10th. 2nd to 5th.
Yes, quite. That's not a bad lap there, but yeah, I mean, Be Good could wind up in trouble for possibly interfering with Reese's lap. Now that could result in a significant penalty if he was found at fault. I do also, when I was on with Owen when he was coming back around the track, I did see Hunted. He was missing his entire wing. I wonder what happened to Hunted. I'm thinking maybe that's why he didn't have a representative lap time, right? Because he won a crashing somewhere and lost that entire wing.
I don't know if Scyther was on a 2nd lap or not, but he was a 10th up in the 2nd sector split. So if he was trying to practice for his final Q3 run, we'll find out if he can do just that and maybe more. Use sets for most of these guys on their first run. We'll find out what the newer set does, because 13.8 from Cookie. I know I went a little bold, and I know some said maybe a little delusional. Some predictions of mine I've mentioned recently, Cookie being one of them. I will have to say, to counter that though, it seems like even with Korsman's lap in Q2, I think there still could be improvements, and I think if Cookie goes back out, I think he can still do more. I think he can get to a 13.5. More likely a 13.6 now that I've seen these first times, but it depends. What can drivers do on used sets compared to new sets, considering what DeChiller just said not too long ago? 4 minutes left. Still a lot can happen in this session. We have a lot of different variables that we have left in this session, with Owen not having a lap, Hunted not having a representative one, and Reese, the big factor, who does not have a lap time set. And we're not going to go on board with Owen, Titan, and I'll have you take it away for one of our final flying laps in this Alfa Romeo. Owen, we'll see what he can do for the newly named team in 2024.
Absolutely, as Owen gets his foot down on the power, hanging out the final corner to start the lap as he's roaring his way down into that tiny little kink of turn 1. As he gets up into that 8th gear, gets close to 205 miles an hour into the braking zone. Nice and easy through that little chicane, left, right, left, up turns 3 and 4. Now back up to the gears. High RPMs for 7th as he goes through turns 5 and 6. Now into the hairpin of turn 7. Gotta take it nice and easy on the throttle so you don't lose your traction as he makes his way climbing up the hill through turn 8. Now into the double left turns 9 and 10 as he makes his way now into the bowl section. Key and crucial as you're working that power. Nice and easy on the braking. He's done pretty good as he comes out of the pole, ending sector 2, 49.6 for sector 2, not bad at all. As he comes into the chicane, curves just float right by for him, easy on the exit, getting high up into those gears, working his way up, now into the next downhill braking zone of the final couple of corners, as he's doing it nice and easy, floating through those corners, just a little wiggle on that penultimate corner, comes across the line. Very strong. 6th fastest. 14.7 for Owen.
It has been 173 races since Owen last saw pole position. 6th fastest tonight in an Alfa Romeo shows that you put him in a top car and he could do a little bit more than what he's done tonight. Fair play to him, the Irish driver. Hunted, 6th fastest ahead of that in that striking Alpine. We've got Reese gonna start a lap. We've got a couple others on a lap. How about we go on board with our pole man right now, Cookie, who could improve, and let's find out by how much. Cookie now coming through the chicanes. It is 2/10 up.
Oh my
He is finding
God.
tons of time, and if he can complete this lap, he may not even need his competition to improve on the lap. He's got this covered beautifully. Parabolica right here. Now to the bull section. You go right a couple of times, and then you come to the end of the sector. Cookie has kept this clean and absolutely on the limit. Can he go even faster in this second sector? No, the exact same amount as he did in the first sector. 2/10 and 12 more thousandths. Now, what's this final sector looking like? He's either going to get a 0.6 or just barely in the 0.5s. Here he goes with the McLaren in front, just the only car to negotiate through. And then the final two corners, a little deep for Cookie, but I think it's okay enough to still extend and even go even faster than that to take 6 poles in a row.
Oh my God.
Provisionally. 0.5, 7/10 ahead, and Scyther's invalidated on a lap 3/10 up. He needs to get to the line immediately. We've got Be Good starting a lap, but now we've got more finishing though. Hunted. Not gonna go for a second one. Oh, and the same said for him. Scyther is now racing against the clock. Can he get to the start-finish line in time? Scyther will get a lap in. Checkered flag, Reese Dainty is aborted, and he has had an issue invalidated. He is gonna be 10th. Next up is Formula Cringe, trying to avoid being 8th or 9th. What is he going to do? He's going to go 7th. How about that? Really good qualifying for AlphaTauri, who had a double Q3 last season. They're up in the top 7 this season thus far. 5/10 up for TB. This could be the front row currently, but will he keep it if he does do it? TB across the line. It's going to be second fastest. How about the front row for him? Next is Jack Miles, 3/10 up in the time. Is he going to go front row? No, third. Next is Korsman, and Be Good, by the way, improving in the second sector by 2/10. So we could be seeing some guys take away the front row. Korsman gonna do just that, only a 10th off! So that is amazing! How about Be Good, though? The Mercedes teammate, also Scyther, invalidated. He is only gonna be a best of 5th, and maybe a worst of 6th. Be Good, the only other one who could deny Cookie at the top. Third fastest, nice shock there, but Cookie delivers Red Bull's 80th pole position in RPL F1 and ties the record for the most consecutive poles in a row at 6 here on Maxwell.
Yeah, and Cookie even set basically what is a record, basically a record pole position, or it's basically a record qualifying lap record for him. I mean, geez, that's just wild for him. 504. Jeez, I didn't even expect him to go that fast.
Well, you know, I'm happy with that. I predicted it right on target. I didn't predict any drivers. I predicted 100% record there with that pole time, 0.5, and Korsman was just a 10th off of it too. So Korsman, I spoke about the fact that the driver in Q1 and Q2 last season did not get pole position. And what happens this time? Korsman comes up just a spot short. Here is our qualifying order. We'll speak about the start in a little bit. Cookie, 13.504 the pole time. Korsman second. Be Good third for Mercedes, ahead of the teammate by just a slim edge. Slim margin right there. Over TB. Jack Miles running on the top 5, podium in this race last season. Scyther could only manage 6th, not the best of laps from him. Hunted, Cringe, Owen, and then Reese. A really disappointing qualifying, but we're going to see if the stewards have anything to say about Be Good with that blocking that Reese allegedly said about him. We'll find out if it's true or not. Either way, we've got a race down to turn 2 now. Slipstream will be a big factor, and you better get a good start off the line. Everybody said Cookie for their predictions. I mean, you may as well not guess at this point. You may as well guess if he does it on the first or second lap and what his pole time may be to the exact slim margin at this point. Either way, quick strategy reminder. Soft hard, medium hard is going to be the strategy for tonight. Can drivers do soft medium? The answer is yes, but it's listed as a Hail Mary. Hards can go just 2/3 of the race, so that's nice to see. Pit stop loss, 19 seconds in the pit lane, and you gain back over 20%, just a little over 20% in the pit lane under green flag stops.
Yeah, so this is going to be quite interesting. I mean, literally with how good, how
Shout out
good
to
Cookie
Cringe, by
is.
the way.
I'm really contemplating if I feel like wanting to like throw like a little gauntlet challenge on him just to see if he is as insanely cracked as he is. But
His challenge is to
I'm
beat Luke's
thinking
win
about
record. That's my opinion. Yeah, so that's a big good point. Cringe deserves to be mentioned. All right, we're just waiting on drivers to edit their setup, fuel, last minute changes. Here come the lights. Here we come for Imola. The lights come on, and now the lights go out. We're away. Cookie, a little bit of wheel spin off the line, but not going to matter with the left side of the grid giving him his advantage. And now Korsman going to give the squeeze to Be Good. Side by side there. Jack and TB squawking around too. And now on the run to turn 2, it's Korsman ahead of Be Good still. And now Cringe goes off. Cringe is off, and he's lost places, and now an end plate flying in the air. Oh, another car off. That's Shanghai. Shanghai in the gravel. Tadpole also... a little dust being kicked up, but now Korsman looks to try to get the lead, and now covers off Be Good for second place in this race.
And wild and chaos is happening. We've seen Cringe get bumped and sent off. And look, there's Hunted that just went wide out of turn 9. Egg getting spun around. Zakaria going off into the and Shanghai off into the gravel. Just a bit of pandemonium towards the back. It's quite expected in regards to lap 1 events, but here we go. As I'm on board with Reese right now, sitting in 7th right now. He's starting in 10th. He's gained a couple of positions.
The lead! Korsman's gonna go for it already, and around the outside, Korsman's gonna take the lead of the race.
Woo, yeah. Korsman.
How much balls do you have? Wow. And Cookie straight line speed, I think he's going to go back for it. He was thinking about it. Does he go for it? No. He's going to stay in behind, going to pull the smart move. Sorry to cut in, but my God.
Wow, Korsman just went wide and took advantage. Just went like, I'm just going to make my move now instead of letting him pull.
Cookie is off! A rare mistake from Cookie! Cookie is spun from second place! And Cookie... finally, we get a mistake out of him, and it's cost him outside the points now. This race is now wide open.
Oh, man. I mean, we saw last season right at the end where Scyther decided to take a gamble because of the rain. It wanted to bang him in the butt, and he wanted to get out of the points. But now
he's out.
Cookie's crashed.
And he's out. Because of lagging out, his AI has retired him, and for the first time this season, Cookie will not see the flag.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
His dominance may be coming undone in some way. But now, lap 3 of this race, Korsman leading, Be Good second. Scyther we saw get a place on Jack while that was happening. But... they say it ain't over till it's over. We still got a lot going on as George up almost 8 places right here from his qualifying ban. And now the top 9 have broken away. Top 11, in fact.
Yeah, I cannot believe it. But yeah, Cookie is probably going to be livid when he learns that he is done and out of this race. Well, I mean, I'm just stunned.
The 2 Alfa Romeo teammates go side by side at the Parabolica where Owen gets ahead of Cam. We now see the tire changes. We saw for a split second who gained places, but we didn't get to mention it because of all the chaos happening. The Chiller on the outside of Cam can't make the move. I think Cookie probably already knows at this point because you got Scyther, you got Cam, you got Korsman, you got Reese in the same session, or same voice channel as him. So I'm sure Cookie's aware. I'm sure he's aware.
Yeah.
Wow. Take a deep breath, Ryan. Both of us, both Ryans.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter which one. Here comes Be Good. Gonna challenge for the race lead. Gonna pull to the outside line. The top places hits for the first time in Tier 1. The driver, who's been a part of Tier 2 in Endurance, leading some races so far, got promoted to Tier 1 a couple weeks ago. He's making the most of it. Transferred over to Mercedes from the Alpine Academy, and now, in only, what, his third start maybe? Third, fourth start? Leads the race. Reese Dainty battling previous ex-teammate TB. TB gonna go ahead for now and take the place, but that is gonna affect them in the DRS train with Jack Miles. 6-car breakaway though still.
Yeah, absolutely, but yeah, B gets clear of Korsman, and I'm still mesmerized for Cookie being out. I mean, this is literally gonna blow. This is now only gonna blow the win of the race completely wide open. But for some of the drivers in the championship, this gives them a pristine opportunity to claw back some strong points in the championship fight. And I mean, wow, I'm just blown away by this. I mean, Korsman in pursuit of Be Good. I'm on board with him now. Is he gonna make an attack is he gonna make an attack into turn number 2? Well, the answer is no. He's not there enough to warrant for an attack. Be Good still stays there, but now Be Good has to deal with basically his ex-academy teammates behind him.
Well, yeah, I am shocked about Cookie being out of the race, but I'm also shocked that no one in the Twitch chat had anything to say about it because they were very quick to say that Cookie was going to be on pole, and they'll pole to win tonight, but he has some records to still chase after in qualifying. And
oh
man.
My God. So apparently, I just took the chat. Apparently, when Cookie spun out, his controller disconnected and reconnected. Just had like a disconnect reconnect spaz attack. That's why he spun out. I'm guessing that's probably why he retired, was because his controller went into a spaz attack, and that's why he's out. So,
I think he retired
failure by the looks of it.
after he left the session, to be fair. Sorry about that. Yeah. Well, you know who this does help after all? It does help Scyther. The guy's second in the championship. He's not going to take the championship lead, so Cookie has some breathing room there, but Scyther, if he scores max points tonight at 26, he's going to be 2 points back in the championship from Cookie, as George does pick up another place. He is really finding everything he can to get up the field in this race where he finished really well last season for Williams. He is up now 10 places, taking off Academy teammate Cam, and next is his good friend Owen.
I mean, not only is it that, but also bear in mind where Korsman and Scyther are compared to Reese. There is a high likely that the constructors lead will change hands after tonight.
Very true. McLaren have a chance to do just that, and Reese Dainty's only 6th place. You're right. Exactly right. And that will happen for the first time since, I want to say, the beginning of last season. And now George is going to pick off another one. How about Owen? And he is just almost on the back of Hunted. And with the pace of that Ferrari, besides the tire wear, he should get to the back of this DRS train in the top 6 soon. Don't know how soon it will be, but he should pick off Hunted in the thick of time. Almost out of DRS is Korsman. And please keep in mind as well, Owen and George, PC switches. They were on Xbox previously, not too long ago. It's definitely helping them, no doubt about it. DRS race down to turn number 1. DeChiller gonna try to pick off 2 of them. Here he comes on Owen. This will be the first target. Owen gonna go around the outside. They make contact. And Owen off the road, coming back on. Right in the path to Cringe. They touch wheels for a moment, but DeChiller gets Cringe and Owen, but does not get Cam.
Absolutely, but yes. So Chiller up into the point, and Cringe up into 11th right now. Red Fire trying to make an attack on Owen on the outside of that hairpin, and he does get ahead. Ref fire up to 12th, and Owen, who started pretty highly, he was in 9th place at the start, just slips down into 13th.
Sorry, I missed that, Titan.
And
I was
ref fire
checking
into the
Cookie's
penalty
message.
box.
There you go. That's going to affect him. Speaking of some things affecting others, Korsman is back in DRS. No, he was out of it, but I think just past the detection point, Korsman was out of it. We'll find out when we ride on board with Scyther compared to Korsman. Korsman did get it, just barely. No, he didn't. They had him in DRS for just a moment, but then they realized he was not in DRS, so here comes Scyther blitzing past. How about Reese blitzing past TB for just a second, but TB has him covered off. Scyther up to second.
Yeah, these two have quite a bit of history. Reese and TB, they were teammates at the start of Season 9. They've had butted heads multiple times. Hence why TB had to lose position, was switched over. TB is actually in the penalty box. Reese decided to think, oh, I'm gonna try to get for the overtake. He's going side by side and had to back out right into turn number 8. But TB did go a little wide out of turn number 6, and that resulted in him getting a 3-second track limit penalty, and resulted in Reese trying to take advantage to try to get him in the hairpin of turn 7, but just couldn't fully execute it.
The thing with what Reese did there, he realized that section narrows you down so much to where you just can't run wheel to wheel, and he had to back out. He had no other choice, and now Scyther will get the DRS this time. The faster run than Korsman through this section will cause him to be a lot more closer. 7/10 DRS applied. It's now Scyther's race to lose, surely, with the championship in his hands. He's got to make every race, though, to at least have a chance. Here's TB with Jack. TB goes through for 4th place.
As a TB is on a bit of a warpath. I mean, literally, Mercedes have basically just turned up the fire here. They're sitting in 1st and 4th right now. I mean, bear in mind though, TB does have that 3-second penalty, which, I mean, if the race ended right now, TB would be dropped down to 6th place.
Oh,
and the McLaren's running pretty strongly. Now, bear in mind also, Scyther is on the softer compound tire. He's on the mediums compared to Be Good on the hard compound. So this is gonna give Scyther a little bit of an advantage, but it does mean that Scyther is gonna have to go onto the harder compound when the pit window opens. I'm just wondering what will happen if Scyther's strategy of medium to hard is gonna work, or the alternative is going to work.
Already pitting in this race consists of 3 drivers. JNT, Shanghai, and Tadpole. Some for wing changes, some not. Some just having more than just a wing change. Either way, Invade makes a very good point about Cookie needing Reese to cook. Cookie does need Reese to do a lot here in this race today. With that happening, here goes Reese on Jack now for 5th place. Teammates in this race last season, rivals this season in 2 different teams. Reese is the one up a place. They were previously Academy teammates at the start of the season, but Reese being transferred over to Red Bull now has him trying to carry this team on his back today. This is exactly what they hired him for. They need him to do a lot more than just 5th place. And here he comes on TB, trying to have a look, causing TB to slide the rear. Reese has to catch himself from it. Slides on traction on the exit. Jack Miles there to pounce, but Jack Miles not going to take advantage. The gap for the lead, though, still stays at 4/10, not 5.
Absolutely, and just as Reese was getting by Jack, the other Ferrari was possibly going to be losing his position. George, he was at risk of possibly losing 7th to Hunted, but Hunted just didn't have enough time to make an attack, and he had to back off for turn number 2. But yeah, that was a anticipated possible fight between the Ferrari and the Alpine for 7th place.
Mercedes is back, question mark? I've been hearing that talk, but TB has a penalty. Is Be Good going to be the one who can take advantage of this? AMS Egg, 3-second time penalty. Welcome to the penalty club. Scyther on fresher mediums. Surely you got to wonder if he can take advantage of this now with being the higher medium runner compared to the rest of the field. Here's DeChiller on the main straight, taking Cam off. Cam low on fuel, so he is definitely underfueled by a lot.
Well, this is going to be quite interesting as Owen who is one of the first, who is on the medium when he started. He is the first of the mediums to go in for a stop. So maybe slightly early first stop for him, or maybe it's in the early part of the window. I don't know, but Owen,
It is
the
early.
first of the mediums to pit. So I mean, if
I did
some
check
of
my
the
stat sheet.
guys on the mediums are taking note, they'll be thinking like, I wonder if he's gone in early, or maybe the tire wear is just that crazy. We don't know.
Yeah, I did check. It is a little early. I would expect either next lap or the lap after the earliest people would pit. But Cam, sixth driver in this race to pick up a penalty. Just absolutely treacherous for some of these guys on the circuit right now to keep it within those white lines. Yellow flag, Tadpole has crashed out, and this is going to bring out the safety car, and Be Good somehow just barely made it in right before. I thought he was not safe, but here comes everybody into the pit lane because of that.
Yeah, Tadpole crashed on the exit of turn number 5.
Double stacks, by the way.
This is going to cause some problems. Double stacks for McLaren and for Mercedes. And TB
Ferrari too.
did come out worse off because he came into the pits in 4th and he exited out in 6th.
The guys on hards going to mediums. The guys on mediums going to hards. And this is going to hurt those guys who started on hards. Surely.
Absolutely.
Can't make the rest of the way on mediums as far as I'm aware. But you can if you get maybe a VSC with this, or just don't waste enough tire wear under the safety car. You're gonna be in puncture territory. It's 17 to 21 laps, and we have 21 laps left of this race after we come through this sector.
Yeah, I mean it's a very risky gamble. Try to go to the end of the race on those mediums, but yeah, this safety car has really thrown a huge wrench in the drivers that were on the hard tires at the start of the race. I mean,
yeah, and the tricky thing about this is, although those mediums can make it to the end, drivers like Scyther and Jack, even add Hunted into this list, will prevail on those tires in the closing stages of this race. The guy affected, I would say, most, besides TB, of this double stack, George. George was ahead of Hunted right prior to this. Couldn't get him out of DRS. Had some lag issues, as I saw riding on board with him. But he actually is now down to 10th and was 7th. So we'll watch what he can do. With that being said.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry for my mic cutting off. Apparently, while I was discussing on what driver were affected, apparently the game just decided to say that that I didn't have a controller connected, which was silly, but it fixed itself a couple seconds later. But yeah, I mean, the guys that were on the hard tires, you have like Be Good, Korsman. Yeah, they were on hard tires. Be Good, Korsman, Reese, TB, Cam, Cringe, Red Fire, and Zakaria. Those guys are heavily affected in regards to that, because they started on the mediums at the hards at the start of this race. But those that started on the medium tires, Scyther, Jack, Hunted, the Chiller, George, Wavy, and Egg, even Owen, despite him being a lap later, they have now taken full advantage of this.
I wonder who's going to take advantage the most for their constructor now with Cookie out, Tadpole for Alpine out of this race. Tadpole has not scored any points this season at all, reserving for Tier 1. In fact, the last time he did, go all the way back to round number 19 at the end of last season, Mexico, his best circuit. We're likely going to be seeing the safety car head back to the pit lane at the end of this lap, and we'll get racing back underway. Just for reference, though, for those of you wondering, from teams not on podium this season, you've got Aston Martin at best of P5, AlphaTauri at best of P4, best of P8 for Alpine, Williams, and Haas, and then Alfa Romeo looking for a better finish than 10th this season, only 1 point to their name. So, yeah, door is wide open, no doubt about it. I'm not seeing any notification of the safety car coming in, but I do expect it maybe to be a late one. Here we go. Now it's time.
So I was just checking on the constructors. So the race ended as it is now, and minus off any of the penalties. McLaren will take the constructors' lead
Be good,
after
so
this race.
slow.
But by how much? I didn't get an accurate read because we're going green.
Here he goes. Yep. I was watching from Scyther's on board. Be Good is on the gas now. Scyther using the battery. So is Be Good. Who's going to get the run toward turn 2 to break the latest? Who's going to make some moves already? We see nobody doing so just yet. Here's Korsman on the teammate. Scyther going to let him go. Korsman up into second place and now gets the free pass to challenge for the race lead on Be Good. Further back, Wavy and AMS Egg collide.
Yeah, they collide and they both go spinning. That's just fun. Between the two, they've had some history. TB and Jack, by the way, brawling it out for the 5th place spot, and TB, who caught off really bad in regards to the pit stop, he's up into 10th place now.
Well, I will say, in comparison to that ERS, Scyther using some in this straight to try to find some way. Here we go. Hold on, Cam on to Chiller. Kim gets the move done. He's up a place again. But yeah, Scyther using some battery I was just mentioning, and he's doing so once again. He's already below 60% of the battery. Korsman at 78. Be Good at 62. Scyther trying to find any way to stay within DRS of the teammate once it does get enabled in the next lap or two.
Well, I mean, bear in mind, the 2 cars ahead of Scyther, they're both on the medium compound tires, so their tires are going to be coming back to life. They're going to be back to life and roaring much quicker than hard compound tires. So I mean, literally, it may take for the medium guys, it'll basically take a lap for their tires to fully fire up and get roaring. With the hard tires, it'll probably take an extra lap or 2 for them to fully come into full effect.
J&T and Egg, the 2 to come in at the end of this lap, had some malfunctions on their end. Whether it be damage or just issues, whatever it was, they're pitting. But Korsman is closing in. He is now on the back of Be Good, and we have more challenging for the race lead once again. And like I said earlier in this race, Cookie DNFing obviously widens the door open for this race victory. Not only does it widen open for the race victory, but it widens it up, though. Therefore, multiple guys can challenge for this race victory. It's not just Be Good and Korsman. Scyther's right there. Reese is right there. How about at the back of this train if there's some mistakes? Jack Miles could take some advantages on the front runners and ahead of him. AMS Egg, another penalty.
Absolutely. And just to fully clarify everything, if the race ended as it was now, Red Bull, with Reese sitting in 4th, they will be at 156. While McLaren sitting right now 2nd and 3rd, that is 33 points right there for them. That will put them to 162. So unofficially right now, this means that McLaren will be 6 points ahead and in the lead after this race at this present time.
Looks like Cam just slammed the door shut on Hunted, but he gets up a place, so fair credit to him. Yeah, I will say, with what we have seen thus far, Wavy with a penalty, 6 drivers with 1, I don't doubt if McLaren just simply find a way to work together. Reese knows as well what's going to happen with McLaren. He's in the same voice chat as both their drivers, so we'll see what happens. AMS Egg is out of this race from the pit lane.
Yeah, and TB just picked up his second 3-second track. For TB, he's up now 6 seconds. That is not good at all for him. And one driver that we haven't talked much on is he's currently sitting in the 10th place spot. Formula cringe right now. Surprise!
Korsman wheel to wheel and gets through on the slimmest of edges, and the margin was very slim, no doubt about it, but he takes the lead of the race, and now Scyther almost took over 2nd place, and it's a 4-car race at the front of the field. My God.
The top four, they could easily, how close they are, they could easily fit onto a queen-size bed pretty much. That's how close they are together, and Korsman took advantage, got himself into the lead. Scyther almost attempted to get steal second from Be Good, but Be Good, resilient, just kept his foot in the power, maintained that second place away from the other McLaren.
The problem with Scyther right now is poor ERS management is going to affect him later in this race, as we're now in the second half of this race. Let's find out what happens for this race lead once again. Be Good wants to take that place back, surely. How do you overtake Korsman now becomes the question. Inside line, outside line. Do you do it in the middle of turn 2 just like Korsman did the last time? We'll find out now. Korsman holding on. Be Good. DRS wide open. Outside line before turn 1. Easy move. Slingshots ahead. Takes the lead of the race once again. Be Good out in front for Mercedes.
Absolutely, and Korsman didn't even bother to put up a fight. He didn't even bother to use any of his ERS to defend and challenge. So, I mean, literally, Be Good has 60% ERS, while Korsman has basically pretty much a full back ready to go.
And I'm riding on board with Scyther on Discord. 31% of battery. 31. That's nearly 3 times less than the teammate. Actually, it is now.
Yeah,
wow.
About 2/3 less ERS than his teammate does. And Reese is sitting at around 50% right now. Back what I was mentioned a little bit ago, Formula Cringe, by the way, in 10th place, hanging on strong. He's right in that struggle with Haunted, Cam, and the Chiller, but also George, Redfire, and Owen forming up. So 7th down has a low DRS train, just like the top 6 has a DRS train involved.
Cringe, Haunted, all those guys taking full advantage. And now here comes Korsman, wanting to take advantage of the race lead once again. He takes back the top spot. Korsman. Easy DRS overtake, breezing past. 3rd overtake for the race lead in the last 3 laps.
And I don't think it's gonna stop there. We're probably gonna see these two jumble the lead back and forth, probably for a little while until we get right to the end. I'm probably gonna say maybe within 5 laps to go, they're gonna really just obliterate through the ERS to try to pull a gap against each other. And right now, Korsman with an absolute full battery at his disposal, good available. I mean, currently at the moment, I know I'm the co-team principal of the academy, but oh no, well, that just solidifies it. Be Good into the penalty box.
Oh no.
Because I was gonna say wow. Even though I'm the co-team principal of Alpine Academy, and my opinion would be viewed as biased, but I think even just because of the ERS available, Korsman has the slight advantage. As Be Good goes down the inside, takes the easy advantage, and gets ahead of Korsman to reclaim the lead. But yeah, Be Good with that track limit penalty, that is going to hurt him.
This now sets up Reese to get a 39th Tier 1 podium, tying Maxwell for P4 on that list. Let's see if he can do that today.
I just switched the intervals for the leader, and right now, I mean, Be Good is looking to be dumped down to P5. You'll lose it to Korsman, Scyther, Reese, and to Jack. But Jack is currently 4/10 away from being over 3 seconds behind. So Be Good's just going to have to put a little more power down and get a bit more distance in order to keep himself ahead and maybe not lose too many track positions because of it. I mean, TB right now, crazily enough, he's only going to lose one position. He's going to fall to 6 because after Jack, who's 0.8 seconds behind the leader, the gap increases to 9.1 seconds behind the leader with Hunted in 7th.
Be Good is using all that battery to take full advantage. Cam has had a mistake in the last couple corners. He's been overtaken by multiple cars. And now here comes the Academy teammate of Red Fire Tiger. He is trying to take advantage, but with all that was said about Korsman and Scyther and Be Good on those guys, this penalty with Be Good gives him full ammunition. Shanghai around.
Absolutely. It looks like Shanghai has gone for a spin in the penultimate corner. Cam went wide in the penultimate corner, had a little tour of the gravel. That's why he lost many positions. He was in the 9th place position and lost quite a few spots. And yeah, so now he's down in 12th after going wide and into the gravel just for a little bit. And at that gap, now officially, Jack is now over 3 seconds behind Be Good. So Be Good is safe to stay in 5th place right now. Yeah, he's safe to stay in 5th place right
podium,
now.
though. So he's going to need a lot more to take that first podium.
4th, I'm sorry.
And Korsman trying to take an elusive 3rd victory in a 3rd straight season here in RPL. He's got 11 laps left, and you got to get the rest of those way on the mediums. If not, Scyther will take advantage here on the hards, needing at most the championship leader. If Scyther wins today, by the way, he will take an all-time 26th race win in RPL.
Wow.
And by the way, just to put this in reference, Scyther and Imola only won once. So for their drivers, though, too. He'd be the first repeat winner in Imola.
No kidding. Wow, that's pretty impressive. I just saw Georgia overtake Hunted for 7th place into turn number 2, and this is quite crazy. Unless we can.
Be Good's off from the race lead. Be Good made a mistake there in the bull section, and now Korsman's close right up to him. Full fight from McLaren here for this race lead. They noticed it, and now they're going to pounce. Sorry to cut in, Titan, but I just noticed that from Scyther stream, and now Jack with a 3-second time penalty. Wow. Lot just happened there.
There we go. Yeah, with Jack having that 3-second penalty, not only that, he is also out of DRS against TB. Oh, TB's come in.
He has. Maybe thinking he can't make it the rest of the way? Oh, boy. Did he go on 2 different tires? Is that why as well?
I mean,
nope.
He was on the hard. I believe he was on the hards.
You're correct. You're correct. So he's going medium here. Did not think he could make the rest of the way. That's a shocker.
Yeah, you're right. He started on hards. He was on the medium. Yeah, he didn't think maybe he could make it.
Well, surely he had a chance to, but with how much he was pushing, racking up those track limit penalties, probably no chance.
Yeah, that's highly likely.
Because 17 to 21 laps, like I said earlier.
Good is in the same boat.
Yeah, so is Korsman, so is Reese. Those guys on hards, little more of a safer route they have. So, we'll see how they play it.
Yeah, this is going to play a nice factor for guys that are currently on those hards. I mean, Scyther, Jack, George. I mean, is it possible we could see Jack and George possibly on the podium?
Well, if we get punctures from the guys on mediums, can George get on the podium? Yes. If there's not, then I don't think that it's going to happen. George needs to pull out a DRS of Hunted to have a chance, in my opinion. I don't see him having that chance as of the current moment. And even when he was in the same position before the safety car came out, he didn't pull DRS. He needs to use all that battery and pull DRS. But the problem for George is that if he uses all this battery and he makes a mistake and they catch him, he's in no man's land. And Hunted always catches up because that DRS main straight being so powerful. We're going to speak of that a lot on a lot of these circuits. But not next week in Monaco. Coming up, Shanghai with another penalty.
Oh, man. Monaco's next week? Oh, boy. That's going to be a lot of fun.
It will be. I agree with you, Titan. Here we go.
TP in the penalty box again. Oh, no.
Oh, and he's outside the points this time, trying to regain places. Owen now in the penalties. We've got Zakaria, J&T, Cringe, and now Hunted being overtaken. George, Reese, Scyther, and Korsman, the only ones without a penalty, and now Hunted's just absolutely pulled the commentator jinx out of my mouth right there. I said he didn't have a penalty. Now he does. Unfortunate circumstances for Hunted.
I think if my memory's right, last season we had a lot of guys get themselves into the penalty box. I mean, I could be incorrect, but I think at this track last season, we only had I think 4 drivers without a track limit penalty. Everyone was nailing them. And like I said, I could be wrong on how many did not have track limit penalties, but I do know 2 that did not have them in last season's race. That was Seither and Reese.
Cookie's saying it feels like Silverstone 2021, but his controller took him out, not Lewis Hamilton. Well, Cam comes back in for softs. If anyone's going to come in and feel like they're not making the end of the race, it's because they're on the medium tires and they're risking a puncture. All these guys on mediums are risking a puncture at the end of this race. Red Fire, looking for a first points finish this season. Cringe, the same could be said about him. Without a penalty, currently would take P7. We've got the Chiller in his first proper outing for Aston Martin. George reserving for Ferrari. George and the Chiller on hards. In front of that, Reese, Korsman, and Begood on mediums. If they get a puncture in the last couple laps, Seither takes advantage, Jack takes advantage, and then so does George. But they need to make it to the end of this race. We've got 6 to 7 laps remaining for them to do just that. The medium tires, if I am correct here, they wear 3.6% a lap. These guys have done 14 laps on them. So if my math is correct, they're already near 50+% of the tires, but they are reaching puncture territory. Cam, a 3-second, that would be beneficial if we do get a safety car.
You said average of 3.6% a lap, you said correctly?
Yes, so at least a minimum of 50% here. And with the penalties from these guys, maybe more with how much they've been pushing.
Yeah, you're right. 3.6. I timed it by 14 laps. They're at about 51%. But yeah, with some of these guys that are battling against each other, I'm probably gonna safely say the medium tire guys, they're probably at around 55 right now. At minimum.
Be good holding on for the race lead, but a penalty at the expense of that is going to drop him at least down to 4th and take him off the podium for the first time in Tier 1. He's had podiums in Tier 2. He's won in Formula Endurance, but now he's trying to do it at the top level of RPL. We said in Tier 2, this could be the day that Be Good, maybe not today, but we said there will be a day where he could be a Tier 1 race winner or podium sitter. Might not come today unless one of the guys behind, encouragement and or Reese, ends up failing to achieve a podium with the puncture. The Chiller on George, P6 for him. We had TB coming to the pit lane. We had Cam coming to the pit lane. They're going to be safe regardless. Cam comes to the pit lane again, though. He was on softs, now on medium. Something may have happened there, but 5 laps remaining to still hold on here for a good finish for some of these guys, let alone a net race win right now with Korsman at the hands of that.
Absolutely. I just was on board with George. He attempted to try an outside attack into turn 7, but just couldn't get it done. Just didn't get enough power on the exit to try to catch the Chiller that 6th place back. But I mean, what's more wild about with George, he started with a qualifying. He started all the way back in 19th place, and he's up into the top end. So I mean, he's made quite a lot of progression in this race so far.
Seither, I just checked his tire wear just a moment ago. 44% is his highest tire. And keep in mind, if that's the case for him, 5.5% less wear per lap compared to the guys in mediums. Surely, like you said, 55% by now, if not more, with the battling. Speaking of battling, George gets the pass done on the Chiller on the main straight. Just DRS games between these two right here. But keep in mind, George doesn't have a penalty. The Chiller does. So more battling means more catching up from guys behind. Again, another shout out to Formula Cringe. Could be taking a first points finish here tonight in RPL.
Yeah, and he's looking for at max a P7 because as George and the Chiller keep battling around, this does create separation between those guys and George's teammate of Jack. But this does also bring some of the guys behind the Chiller, Formula Cringe, Hunted, and maybe in an extreme case, it could bring Red Fire and TB into it. Speaking of TB, he's trying to fight his way to get himself back into points. But Red Fire, he only has a 3-second penalty, while TB has 9.
Cam just took the fastest lap by a 10th right there. And this is going to get interesting. This race is heating up for the race lead. Korsman closing up a 10th, though. But he's trying to hold on over Scyther and Reese. It still is not over. Scyther right on the back of his teammate. Does he end up trying to challenge his teammate to get the net race lead to then get the championship gap down to 3 or 2 points here with him and Cookie? There's a lot at stake here, Titan, and there's only a couple laps remaining.
Absolutely. It is. It's just basically a war of attrition for some of these guys ahead. I mean, Be Good and Korsman, they've been on the medium since the safety car. It's basically a war of attrition to keep
Reese is safe, by the way. Hold on. Reese is
safe.
safe. He's on 42%, Titan. He's going to make it to the end, but keep in mind, still got to get by these guys. Sorry, go ahead. I just had to mention that. I heard that from live talk in their Discord channel with Korsman, Scyther, Reese in the same chat. They know what's going to happen here in the last 3 laps.
Absolutely. But yeah, 40
they know
in the low 40s for tire wear for Reese. That means Reese is just playing it cool and just letting it sit and just watching the fireworks unfold ahead. So he's probably waiting for Be Good and Korsman to just make something wrong happen. Here he goes!
Korsman's not going to wait any longer. He's going to take the lead of the race with just 3 laps to go, and Scyther's going to do the same. Be Good is struggling. Be Good does not have a puncture, but he is struggling. He's now been overtaken by 3 cars in 1 sector. Down to 4th.
Yeah, Korsman just, not Korsman, Be Good, had a poor exit out of turn 3, went off into the grass. That's why Scyther and then later Reese got advantage and took it from him. So Be Good went from the lead going into the braking zone and comes out of that chicane, first chicane down in 4th. That is a unfortunate small fall from grace by Be Good.
The drivers have just mentioned Reese has a lot more tire wear available than Korsman and Scyther. Has he played his cards beautifully? Right now he's on for a podium, a 39th all-time. Korsman trying to go for a 3rd win in RPL. It's come in Japan and it's come in Mexico, but none in Europe. 3 different continents, and he's trying to hold on for 2 more laps over the teammate of Scyther on those hard tires. Can he do it? Scyther now has charged up battery after having absolutely none compared to his teammate. He sticks in behind. Now, it's a matter of holding off Reese Dainty, the Tier 1 champion from last season, and his return to Red Bull. Scyther using the battery and now deploying all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It is just a war between these two, and Be Good just got himself another penalty.
But he's okay because they got Jack.
This is going to fully solidify Be Good in the 4th place spot. So literally now it's just a battle between the 2 McLarens and Reese. Can Reese find some way, somehow, to slingshot past both McLarens to go for a win? Is it possible? I don't know. Korsman's looking for another win. Scyther, I mean, he is looking to shrink down a lot of those points.
Korsman's getting screen
the
freezes.
Standings between.
This is a panic for the driver. It may not just be tire wear, and now you can see him struggling, losing the rear from the lead. He's got a lot more in the tank on the battery. Scyther losing the rear too. The final lap is underway. Scyther's closing though. He's closing and using the battery now. Yellow flags further back. That's a big collision, but Scyther for the race lead around the outside cannot do it. Korsman slides, and now Scyther is 2. Collision up in front. 3 cars to avoid, but now Scyther to the inside. Side by side. He's going to try the switchback on Korsman, the teammate. He's struggling. Reese makes contact down the inside. Not going to do it just yet. Can the tires hold on?
Oh my goodness. I mean, Scyther just got a little evil out of his car, got a little evil out of 6, and Reese ran at the back of him. But yeah, this is pretty dang good.
Korsman has to hold on. Here comes Scyther using the battery. Do we see an overtake here? It'd be very ballsy to do so, but the answer is no. Couple more corners to negotiate for Korsman. Scyther's there, Reese is there, and now Reese wants 2nd place. Reese to the outside.
Going desperate.
Here we go. Side by side, we go to the race leader, who is going to take another win. Third win in the last 3 seasons. He's won in Japan. He's won in Mexico. And now at Imola, Scyther wins. Korsman wins. And Scyther in the battle holds on for second place over Reese. What a race.
Wow. I mean, it was almost a drag race to the end between Scyther and Reese. But McLaren 1-2. What a good run for them. And George get himself into 6th, and Formula Cringe, give a hand to him. 7th place for him. Very good job there.
Owen around.
Hunted into the points. TB, 10th place, the last point for him.
TB, no front wing there at the end. He had something happen. Owen also spun there. Wavy did too. Zakaria, no penalties. Could take some advantage here. He's going to take P12. Man.
Wow.
Scyther, I may have been mistaken, but I think he was the one with screen freezes rather than Korsman. But either way, those last laps gave us a lot. Scyther just barely held on to Reese there. We had to get to the finish there between them two because that was just so close. And there was a collision, by the way, in the last lap between J&T Cam and I believe Shanghai in the first sector. Shanghai, the last one across the line. And round 6 is now complete. 20 more rounds to go in season 10, with Korsman winning, being the 3rd different winner this season.
And I just want to mention unofficially, before the penalty report comes out, with Reese finishing 3rd, Red Bull has 159 points. McLaren getting 43 from their 1-2. They now take the constructors' lead with 172. So that means going into the next race, unofficially, McLaren 16 points ahead of Red Bull.
Korsman, I feel like you just can't count him out ever. He's won in Japan, he's won in Mexico, he's won in Imola. 3 different continents of the world now he's won in. He can master it all. Reese, a record 39th podium for him, tying Maxwell and Scyther. 2nd on the all-time podium list. He is 43rd. Or, sorry, not 43rd. He has 43 podiums in his 2nd. Excuse me, I am all jumbled up because that last lap. Some might think I have schizophrenia. Cringe or George for driver of the day. Both deserve good shout-outs. No doubt about it.
I mean, on one hand,
tough.
you had George, who started in 19th because of that quality ban. He got up into 6th place, which is really good. I mean, Formula Cringe getting his first points and even getting himself into Q3 for the first time. I'm sorry. I'm actually sorry when I say it, but I'm sorry, George. But I think Formula Cringe is more deserving of the driver of the day, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. Formula Cringe, my driver of the day. Those are your final results, folks. Be Good, Jack Miles, George, Cringe, DeChiller, Hunted, and TB. Round out your points. Hunted gets some points this season to his name. Redfire comes up just short. Zakaria just short. Last lap collision with Shanghai, Cam, and J&T we'll have a look at later. But for those of you wanting to tune off stream now, we're going to tell you where we're at with the racing next week. We've got Tier 2 in Saudi, got F1 in Monaco, and tomorrow we've got Formula Endurance in I put down Imola. It's Monza. I was even jumbled up when I was writing my notes. Yeah, still an Italian track though, so you know, another home race for Darius. And Florian if he races tomorrow too. So there you go. Well, Titan, last thoughts on the race as we wrap things up? Go ahead.
Yeah, I know I won't be around for endurance, but I probably will be watching it because I got to get myself ready for another. I got to get myself for my other league race tomorrow. They kick off their season. I'm racing in Qatar tomorrow night. That'll be fun.
Should be fun to see who comes out on top. What a race on our hands. I'm impressed. Cookie DNFing. People watching this race back are gonna wonder, okay, I need to see what happened to see that. And now, Korsman took full advantage. He's winner of Imola. 3 different tracks, 3 different seasons. He is now a part of that same club of consecutive seasons with a win, as drivers like Reese Dainty, Scyther, TB, Chiller, Luke, Maxwell. Welcome to that club, Korsman. And you know what? You know what's even more interesting about that fun fact, though? He's not even been full-time for a long period of time. It's been since Mexico-ish last season where he first declared full-time racing once again in RPL. That's what makes it more interesting. We have a driver on our hands that is going to be here for a long time with a lot of records for sure to try to get his name in the top 5 of.
Indeed.
I saw what I did. I'm sorry about that. I meant to say, yeah. Scyther felt like he sold the race. I kept hearing him say that in the Discord. He lost the rear 4 different times on that last lap. Korsman twice. And I could see his point. But we'll see what happens next week in Monaco, where it seems like previous champions or champions win there. Future champions, at least. We have Monaco winners list that includes some big names and some names who you haven't heard of in a while. No repeat winner there. You have Big Man Jaden's, Molly, L74G, Iran Maxwell, the fake TB, Scyther, and Reese. The only non-champion to win there since the start of Season 2, when we've ran this race, Iran Maxwell. So a lot to be said about the racetrack we're going to next week in Monaco, Titan.
Yeah, Monaco is in a way, Monaco, since it's a crown jewel, it is a crown jewel event in Formula One. It is I believe in RPL, it is a crown jewel event for RPL racing as well. I mean, if you want up winning in Monaco, you basically establish yourself as one of the well-knowns in the league.
Okay, now it's time to find out what happens next week at Monaco. From RPL Streams, Ryan Searles, Titan Iron Wolf. We'll catch you next week for Monaco. And until then, good night. We hope you catch us tomorrow for Formula Endurance, also in Monza. We will see you next time. Good night.